happen. It's interesting, in California, when the legislature was controlled by Democrats, they did waive CEQA. But it wasn't for a dam. It wasn't to prepare for a drought we were going through, but they waived it twice, all for sports. One was in San Francisco and one was in LA. It seems odd, but sometimes people have their priorities, I guess, not in the right place. Now, Mr. Speaker, California and the West recently endured the worst drought in our century. Though it was the worst drought, this was not our first. We have faced droughts for generations, and each time the rain and snow came back and delivered the water that we needed to survive. Just like previous years, this past winter was a godsend to Californians. The wettest on record. Now, living in a naturally dry region that we do, you'd think it would be common practice to prepare for inevitable times of drought by capturing water when Mother Nature blesses us with the rain and snow. But the fact is that we aren't doing enough to store the water we do get for the times we don't get it. So what can we do now? What would help the people in our district and across California and across the West to prepare for future droughts that we know are coming? We should start by building more dams and reservoirs. So what's stopping us? Well, some is a ridiculous permitting process that forces us to wait and wait and wait when actually we should be acting. Just look at history. Take the High Savory Dam in Wyoming. It took 14 years to permit the project, but only 2 years to build it. It was finished in 2004. Think about how much the world changed in those 14 years of time. In 1990, somewhere around 5 million people had cell phones, and only about 15% of Americans owned a computer. By 2004, when the dam was finished, about 180 million people had cell phones, and 62% of Americans owned a computer. In 1990, the most popular movie was Total Recall. By 2004, we were already on to Shrek 2. Now, looking forward to my home state, we can't wait 14 years after starting the permitting process to finish our projects. The Temperance Flat Reservoir, once fully operational, can provide enough water to meet the needs of 172,000 households for an entire year. Finishing the site's reservoir proposal could provide 2 million California homes with enough water for a year. That's an astounding number. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure on this floor we'll hear those 2 million should actually wait. But I guess if it was for a baseball stadium, no need to wait. So fixing the process isn't just about saving some headaches or a few hours of time. This is about making sure millions of people in California and across America have the water they need and deserve. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank Congressman Tom McClintock for this legislation. Fixing this permitting process for water storage is more than just common sense. It's about making us a nation of doers again, to get the American people what they actually need. Mr. Speaker, Mr. McClintock has worked. He's tried to work with both sides of the aisle. He's been through this process. But you know what? Mr. McClintock's been home. He's been listening to his constituents on both sides of the aisle that don't have water. We've been through these droughts. We know these droughts will come again. And they've only been worse in the last couple years. Why? Because of what has been imposed by the federal government. Even in the years where we have more than 170% of snowpack, we don't keep the guarantee of 100% of the water. So as environmental laws continue to take water away and put it out to the ocean instead of providing for the fruits to be grown and the fiber across our country and provide the water for the citizens of California, we should build more dams. And they should not have to wait 14 years with only 2 years to build it. We can do better. We should do better. And we will do better when we pass this bill. I yield back.
Gentleman from California yields back.